All right, why teenagers are deliberately seeking brain rot on TikTok. Talking to teens reveals a hidden sophistication to their media use. Rather than policing it, maybe we could learn from it. Okay, it's midday on a Friday, and I'm in a room with about a dozen teenagers at an international school in Oslo, Norway. So keep in mind, this is in Norway. We're talking about how and why they use TikTok, the digital video sharing application. The prevailing mood is laid back, though I'm technically a media researcher and they are technically my research participants. This group of 16 and 17-year-olds are joking around with each other and with me as we chat about the role of TikTok in their everyday lives. It's a beautiful day, warm and summery, and everyone, including me, is in a fun weekend mood. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe what I see on my For You page, says one of my participants. Yeah, it's like another of them pauses, looking for the right word. It's just mostly brain rot, you know? I do not know. This is my first introduction to the term brain rot. Perplexed as I ask them what it means. Laughing, they describe it as a Gen Alpha word that refers to the stupid stuff they see on their main TikTok feeds, which are called, for those who aren't on the app, For You pages, or FIPs. It's stuff that's dumb, like it rots your brain. Memes and just random stuff. One participant shows me a video on her phone as an example as the others look on. What I see on the screen, an absurd, poorly animated, colorful character dancing in the style of a drag queen, looks like nonsense to me, and I say so. This makes them all laugh even harder. So to me, it looks like more of a inside joke, which is funny when you let someone else in on it and they're not understanding the inside joke. It kind of makes it funnier because it's, a personal and inside joke. So maybe TikTok uses these brain rot and these things that normally people wouldn't search for to create inside jokes. Brain rot, stupid, mindless internet, though mostly TikTok content. It may seem like a silly bit of slang, but as a researcher, I think this new teen terminology can tell us something important about how the younger generation are managing their media lives. The origin of the term brain rot are not entirely clear. Some websites suggest that it comes from the 2011 video game The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, in which characters can contract a disease known as brain rot. I remember that. I used to play Skyrim for quite a bit of time. A handful of media news websites and web pages for private treatment institutions go so far as to suggest that brain rot is genuinely a mental health condition that develops as a result of overexposure to online content with symptoms that include decreased attention span and lethargy. TikTok is for three things: learning stuff and feeling good about yourself, stalking people, and brain rot. But despite these questionable origin stories, most sources, including the teenage participants in my TikTok study, agree that brain rot is simply one of many slang terms emergent from and made popular by the current generation of children and young teenagers, Generation Alpha, who were born between 2010 and the present day. Gen Alpha is like his brother's age, explains one of my participants, referring to her 17-year-old friend who has a 10-year-old sibling. But we use the word a lot now, brain rot. Regardless of how it is understood in other places across the web, for these teens it can be defined simply as online content, videos, images, etc., that is so meaningless, banal, or dumb that it feels as though it rots your brain. That's interesting. So it's just dumb fun. And still, I see it as more of an inside joke. It's so ridiculous that you show someone. It becomes viral because of how ridiculous and dumb it is. And then it just kind of becomes an inside joke. Of course, not all brain rot is created equal. Categories of brain rot have emerged from the relatively harmless but wildly popular Skibidi Toilet series created by Alexei Gerasimov, which features animation of human-like heads spinning in a toilet, to potentially problematic content as looks-maxing videos in which individuals go to the extreme lengths to maximize certain aspects of their appearance, or mukbang, which consists of individuals eating enormous volumes of food while filming themselves. Yeah, one of my daughters introduced me to the Skibidi Toilet. Just saying Skibidi, anything, makes her crack up. It's like an inside joke. If you watch the video, it's not really funny. It was just made funny by its popularity, which is another evidence of social proof. You look at something in of itself, it looks dumb. You may not think it's funny, but if you hear many people think it's funny, then you conform and you also think it's funny. These are things I'm sure a lot of these A lot of our teens and young people will look back in many years as wondering why they did it. But again, social proof and inside joke. Mukbang, yeah, watching people eat enormous amounts of food. Other types of brain rot include grimace shake, where users on TikTok make videos pretending to have suffered a horrible fate after consuming the purple McDonald's grimace shake, and the Only in Ohio meme, a humorous satire of a conspiracy theory in which unimaginably horrible things happen in Ohio, starting after a Tumblr post in 2016 showed a glitching bus station reading, "Ohio will be eliminated." So again, started off as an inside joke and became very viral. Really viral videos are really just an inside joke or event shared by many people. Brain rot as a term covers these as well as all other silly, dumb, or time-wasting online content that does not fall into any specific category, such as the video of the dancing animated character my research participants showed me. For them, brain rot is a very clear type of content, but it also represents one of the distinct ways to engage with TikTok. If I want to learn something, I can do that. I actually learn a lot from TikTok, but other times it's just stupid things, and like brain rot, one participant tells me, yeah, TikTok is for three things: learning stuff and feeling good about yourself, stalking people, and brain rot. So it seems to me, since this was mentioned twice, that TikTok is there if you want to learn something, feel good about yourself, stalking people, I guess that's a thing, and brain rot. It almost seems as if brain rot is sprinkled in the For You page as a means of having a break from learning or from something you intended to view on TikTok. So rather than seeing the content that you came to TikTok for, or to view, rather than put it down and go do something else or go to another app, they sprinkle in this brain rot, this senseless entertainment, I guess you could say, as a means of providing your brain a break without leaving the app. Because all of these apps, all social media apps, make their money by you being on the platform. The longer you're on the platform, the more money they make. So it seems that TikTok has come up with a pretty ingenious algorithm to keep you on there longer. And of course, the longer you're on there, the more you can develop ADHD symptoms, the more addicted you can become, and the more depressed you can become, because all addictions lead to depression. In this way, brain rot is what we might call a genre of participation, to borrow a term from the work of the cultural anthropologist Mimi Ito. On a digital social media application like TikTok, with its endless different types of content, one way of participating is to seek out brain rot and therefore turn off, so to speak, one's brain. Exactly. And it's clear from my research that this type of mindless TikTok video serves as an important purpose in the larger ecosystem of the internet. An important purpose. Not sure if they're condoning brain rot or saying it just appears to be from this research where it has you, so to speak, turn your brain off and give your brain a break. Brain rot is one small piece of a broader vocabulary teens use to negotiate the vastness of digital media saturating their lives. As a term, brain rot is most definitely not meant to be taken literally, though the medical website proposing brain rot as an emergent mental health crisis facing our society may well be, meaning their definition is misguided, at least as far as teens are concerned. Well, I don't know if that's saying as far as teens are concerned, meaning as far as they feel or think, or they're saying that it's not brain rot because of the fact that they're teens. The group of 16 and 17-year-olds I work with in Oslo aren't worried that watching dumb videos on TikTok will really rot their brains. It's a bit of a jokey terminology, one small piece of a broader vocabulary they use to negotiate the vastness of TikTok, as well as all other digital media saturating their lives. As a genre of participation, brain rot is an oasis of calm amid the media chaos. So it seems they're condoning it. And who really is going to value what 16 and 17-year-olds think or worry about? They're at 16 and 17, we're not capable of inhibition or knowing what's good for us. We just follow our desires because our prefrontal cortex is nowhere near developed. So we fall victim to impulsivity and TikTok. And yes, it doesn't rot your brain literally, but it can lead to, and usually leads to, addiction, which is kind of like rotting your brain because everything else in life pales in comparison to TikTok. And it's, of course, a jokey terminology because, of course, jokes are the path to pain and depression. It's not uncommon to find the best comedians being the most depressed. If you can make someone laugh about something, you can make something that's not palatable funny, then it becomes palatable. Just like how sugar can make things that we shouldn't be eating more palatable. Sugarcoating, as they say. As a genre, participation brain rot is an oasis of calm amid the media chaos. It's not. It's maybe less of a dopamine response in the moment, maybe, I don't know. But it definitely keeps you on the platform longer, which is not good. Moreover, this oasis is a much needed one. My participants tell me they know that brain rot is a waste of time, but they don't express any genuine fear about it. However, they do tell me about plenty of other things on TikTok and internet more broadly that makes them worried or upset. It's like the climate stuff. One girl tells me, or seeing how things are in other places in the world. It's good to see it because I can learn about it and about activism against racism and homophobia, but it also makes me feel bad because there's nothing I can do. I feel like grown-ups don't care. Well, they feel this way because they're on TikTok. None of these things that they mentioned are things. These are all, I'm dare to say, anti-human lifestyles and ideologies, but it also makes me feel bad because there's nothing I can do. Yeah, feeling hopeless and stuck is a big part of the pull on social media. It's a whole nother reality. It's based on reality, but exaggerated to make you feel stuck and hopeless. That's why the cure to all the problems in the world is just get off the internet. Just control how you use the internet. The world is what you make it. Not to say you turn a blind eye to everything. There are things in the world that we should be concerned for or have hate in our heart for, but not to the extent of where we can be gaslighted to be concerned about things that we don't need to be concerned about in the way that they're expressing it here. Moving on. The other participants around the table are usually quiet, as she says, and I feel them silently echoing her frustration. Another boy describes the strangeness of experiencing conflict through a screen. War is a trend on TikTok, like Ukraine was a trend for a while, but then Palestine happened, and so that's a huge trend, and everyone is pro-Palestine, and now Ukraine, everyone has forgotten about Ukraine. Well, this is the point of the media. It's to control not how we think, but what we're thinking about. As Dr. Robert Cialdini points out in his book Influence and Persuasion, an expert on persuasion. The media is very good at controlling what we're thinking about. And what it does is it tends to put a heightened importance on something just because we're focused on it. But I'll save that for another video, inshallah. Not to say that Palestine is not important. No, that is a very big deal. It's a very, very serious thing that's going on there. But again, this is keeping them on the platform, which is not good. And then they kind of applied a halo effect to brain rot because they're saying, well, yeah, brain rot's not good, but it's not as bad as all the other stuff on TikTok. And I'm concerned about the environment and the global climate and things like that. Things you should not be worried about. Another boy describes the strangeness of experiencing conflict. Okay, we read that. These teens also seem keenly, even cynically aware of the increasing indispensability of these apps and technologies in their lives. I don't think we could live without them at this point, one boy tells me. Yeah, says another girl, and in terms of privacy, I know they're taking our information and data and stuff, but that's just how it is. This is the point. Game over. We're so inundated with information that we're unable to make informed decisions able to resist anything. We just fall for everything. And social proof added on top of that, where it appears that the majority of the world views things the way that you see them on TikTok. And in order to conform or to fit in and not feel alone, you just go with the flow like a dead fish in the river. TikTok and digital media aside, this is also just a group of teenagers. They have tests and exams and final assignments to complete, and they're starting to think about university applications. They're extremely worried about their grades, probably because they're being told by nearly every adult they know that what they do right now, the decisions they make this year and the next, will matter for the rest of their lives. They have complex social and personal lives, deepening friendships, nascent romances, family members all around the world, as well as hobbies and interests and goals and ambitions. Their worlds are filled with much anxiety and uncertainty, both on screen and off, mostly on screen. You have natural stresses and life things outside of the internet, but the internet just amplifies it 100-fold or more. In context for these teenagers, brain rot on TikTok is one tool for tuning out all of the stress. Just turn it off. Turn off TikTok, uninstall it. You don't need it. There's nothing you're learning on TikTok that you would miss in real life that would negatively affect your life. You don't need TikTok. You don't need any social media. You don't need the news. And if something is really important that you really need to know, you'll find out. You don't need TikTok. It's a genre of participating in the digital world that enables them to enjoy mindless content and to turn off their brains for a while. You only need mindless content if you're consistently inundated with information. Then the mindless content becomes attractive. But really all you have to do is allow yourself to be bored. Turn it off. Just go look at the sky. Just go do anything, but don't look at screens. Don't do dopamine producing, artificially inducing dopamine activities or behaviors. And don't self-medicate with carbohydrates either while you're off. Don't exchange one addiction for another. Just allow yourself to be bored. This is how you take a break from stress. You might say that brain rot is a necessary strategy for managing the particular anxieties of being a teenager at this precise moment in history, fraught as it is with conflict, catastrophe, and predictions of future doom. Yeah, only on social media, not in real life. And while this is by no means the first generation to experience a collision of multiple frightening global events within the space of a decade, this moment in history is perhaps unique, and that hundreds of thousands of updates and opinions on said conflicts, catastrophes, and predictions of future doom are accessible to anyone, anywhere, at any time, with only the swipe of a finger across the screen. Yeah. Allah protects us from doom and gloom, protects us from death. Without the internet or television, most of us would never witness someone dying in front of us or someone being murdered. The majority of things you see on social media, you wouldn't even witness in your life. So exposing ourselves to these things, or haram websites, things like this, we're artificially producing brain chemicals that lead us to addiction. So just cutting it out abstinence is the key. If you have a real addiction to social media, don't fool yourself into saying, I'm going to do this in moderation. I'm just going to look at it from here and, this time or that time, because you don't need it. And don't feel you're going to be missing out. This is the big pull of social media. It gets you pulled into the social proof, pulled into the social aspect of it. And then you feel if you're not on it, you're missing out. You're not missing out on anything. What you're missing out on is your family, real life friends. You're missing looking within yourself, finding out who you are, your place in the world, forgetting Allah, forgetting all kinds of things. So forgetting and feeling left out isn't really the issue. The issue is social media in of itself. It's an addiction. And if you can't stop, recognize that you have an addiction and really just do what you need to do, which is work on the addiction. And I have videos, inshallah, that'll help, strategies I use to control several addictions. Just don't give up and don't try to justify it. This goes with anything that's haram or addictive or harmful. Don't justify it. Fix it. Do your best. Let Allah will take care of the rest. Tie your camel. As adults, we can have unfortunate habit of forgetting our youth as soon as we've left it and policing the next generation according to our expectations. No, you have to police. I know it's a harsh word, but we have to do this for the youth. We are their prefrontal cortex. We're their executive brain, whether they like it or not. We put guardrails and we have them do what they need to be doing. We don't care how they feel about it because that's all they do is feel. That's all teenagers do, especially during puberty. All they do is feel. So, yeah, they're not going to be happy that you're not letting them do this or that, but it's for their own good. And they will understand when they get older. There are a lot of teens who are now like 18, 19, reaching, the 20s. And they say, I wish my parents wouldn't have let me have that much freedom. I wouldn't be in the predicament that I'm in now. So even though they're not happy doing a lot of things, you enforce it. Now, to a degree, you want to inform them, educate them. You don't have to hit them. Or like, that's in my opinion, that's what policing means. You're putting your hands on them, forcing them, like putting them under arrest. And even then you can do it in a way that's will stick long term. They won't rebel as much. And just explain to them why you're doing it, why you're putting guardrails. And even though they may not accept it or fully understand, you've planted that seed, inshallah, and just leave the rest to Allah. But when it comes to teenagers on TikTok, I think the emergence of the term brain rot suggests that members of this generation possess a highly sophisticated approach for navigating the complexities of their media lives. You don't have to navigate it. You can just get off the boat. Don't participate. You don't need TikTok. Much in the same way that teenagers in the 80s navigated changing economic landscapes through their video games and music video consumption, or earlier generations pushed back against restrictive social values using pirate radio and television, teens today are using TikTok and other digital media to negotiate and make sense of the complex world that is very often designed for adults. I don't think TikTok is anywhere near video games or music video consumption, even though music's haram and we shouldn't be watching music videos, it's not the same. Video games, and depending on the game, but video games, it can become an addiction for sure, but it's not the same as TikTok or social media because the video game is set in stone. It's been programmed. It is what it is. And so each time you play it, you get a similar experience. But with social media, it changes by the minute, by the hour. There's always novel. It's always novel, always new. Dopamine, 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 dopamine. So keep that in mind. In a time of heightened global anxiety and fear, rather than restrict their digital access, we have to restrict it. You can wean them off and control it, but you have to restrict it in some way. You can't just give them full reign. They won't sleep, which makes them even more susceptible to addiction. They're going to be tired and stressed and reach for the phone for relief. But then that just becomes a never-ending cycle that gets worse and worse. We might stand to learn from teenagers about how and why they spend their time on TikTok. Yeah, we'll learn why and how, but then we help them correct it. This isn't a Disney movie where the kids are right at the end of the movie and the parents were dumb and wrong. That's not, we're not doing that anymore. Inshallah, right? So, yeah. So that's it. That's TikTok. That's brain rot. Again, don't let them conflate video games with social media. So video games do have their challenges, but nothing close to social media. A video game, let's say Call of Duty or something like this that brainwashes people and conditions people to see Arabs or Muslims or Afghans as terrorists. It's a one-time thing. Person playing eventually, they can learn that, hey, this isn't the case. And so they have a different mindset when playing the game. But social media is ever changing. It's in real time. It's far more adulterated, so to speak. There's a lot of propaganda and bad intentions on social media. So the best thing to do is remove it, especially for the teens. Us pips, we got to keep pipping, pre-internet people. That's what, pip. We got to help this new generation navigate through this false reality which we call social media. So hopefully it's been beneficial. Share, please comment, what are your thoughts on TikTok and social media in general? If you're a parent, what have you done to help control it? Or if you're not controlling it, share your struggles. Let's see if we can work it out together. I have 5 kids myself. My 3 oldest didn't grow up in their teens so much with the internet because they're older now. They're in their 30s and 20s. But it is a challenge for my 2 youngest daughters. So if you have some wins or some strategies, please share in the comments. Probably no one will see this video anyway, but maybe one day someone will see it and inshallah participate so we can help each other, inshallah. And please share in the reward if it's beneficial. And may Allah reward you for being curious and keep tying your camel. As-salamu alaykum.